Welcome to your first day at the Tavern Watch branch of the Triangle Agency. Are you ready to save the world? We have so many opportunities for you to be the best that you can be. Join our PR team and be hands-on with our public image. R&D to make sure we're always at the bleeding edge. Or you could join our Gravedigger crew, who, I assure you, are much friendlier than they sound. There's something for everybody here at the Triangle Agency.
Greetings and welcome to another Tavern Watch Plays. Today we are going to be playing a game of Triangle Agency. In the heart of beautiful downtown Ternion City, there's a skyscraper that dominates the skyline that most people can't see. If you can see it, you're one of the lucky people called by the agency for a very important mission, stabilizing reality. The agency is basically fights weird threats that want to unravel reality, and we'll meet some of the agents here, starting with Joe.
Well, hi, I'm Joe Perez. You may have recognized me from other such wonderful things as other Tavern Watch and all of our other podcasts, because that's where I live. I will be playing Terrence Horatio Modiphius. I don't know if I want to reveal who I am quite yet, but I'm more than what I've seen, and I really like coffee.
We can get a little more into who everybody is when we take a more in-depth look at your lives. Let's go with Liz.
Hi, I'm Liz. I'm playing Louisa. I work in PR, and I am so glad we are all here to play this game together today. This is going to be great.
Oh, and Chris?
I don't know if I trust that. So I'm Chris. You may recognize me as your weekly video game writer, and I am playing Roger Hensley.
There we go. Eric?
I'm Eric. I'm one of the newer crew at Blizzard Watch. First time jumping on one of the podcasts, and I'm playing Tad Silverfield today. Always willing to listen.
All right. Joan?
Hey, I'm Joan Albright. Today I'm playing Giari Blackthorn, aka Dottie, who is an intern at the Triangle Corporation.
And last but certainly not least, Nick.
Hi, I'm Nick Marino. I write about WoW Classic, and sometimes I appear on other podcasts where I famously roll very well. I hope to continue that series of famously good rolls today as I play Case, who works in R&D for the agency.
Alrighty, and I, of course, am Phil Ulrich. I am your GM today, which for once means General Manager. So, as I said, Triangle Agency is a game about agents for a sort of supernatural corporation that is responsible for stabilizing reality. Our agents will be hunting down anomalies, which are sort of obsessions or thoughts that have grown overpowered and threaten to contribute to the destruction of reality as we know it. Reality is important. That's where you live. So it's a very important thing to the company and to you. So, well, first we'll see kind of what your agents are doing on kind of a typical morning prior to work. Let's zoom in on Louisa. Louisa, we know you work in PR. What are you doing today on a typical day at the agency when you're not called for field work?
When I'm not called for field work. Okay, well, I would be reviewing reports from other people in the agency so that I can compile the important messaging that I need to get out about the company and make sure that no incorrect messages are getting out, because sometimes people like to talk. It's just human nature. And it's important to make sure they know what really happened and that they don't accidentally perhaps repeat something inaccurate.
That's true. And one thing we know about you is that you are very good at making things disappear. Would you like to talk a little about your own anomalous abilities?
Well, I try not to make things disappear these days. I mean, unless they really deserve it, because sometimes things just need to disappear. Sometimes it's for the best, but my anomaly is absence. That is caused by it has grown on the absence of things. Should I say more than that, or?
I'll leave it up to you if you want to reveal the interesting part of your character's background. I will say the other agents probably do not know. The company frowns upon discussing your personal lives at work.
Yes, I will say Joe's character is aware, but I don't talk about this.
Sure, Terrence knows little about you because he prepares your special beverages. So I'll say that this morning you've discovered something interesting while filing some paperwork and making some incorrect paperwork disappear. You discover something's disappeared that you didn't mean to. You are maybe putting on some music to help yourself concentrate, and you discover that you've completely forgotten the words to your favorite song. How does this, like, you can't call it to mind? You should know this, but it is gone from your mind. How does this feel for you?
It's extremely frustrating because I do know that sometimes my anomaly gets a little out of control and wants to make things sort of vanish and revel in the absence, the holes left behind by these things. And it's like, oh, not again. Come on. We have been over this. You don't need to eat music now. Ugh.
There's only silence as is appropriate from the absence anomaly.
Yes.
But we'll zoom out. We'll check in with another agent. Dottie, tell us a little more about what Dottie's typical morning before work looks like as a overworked and probably unpaid intern for the Triangle Agency.
Before work, I'm hanging out with my roommate. She likes to kind of tease me about all the things that I just don't know how to do because my anomaly is manifold, which means sometimes when I go on a trip, I end up a little further away than I intended.
Yeah, you are very far away from where you originally manifested, I would say, right?
Yeah. It was let's just say that I'd never heard of Vermont when I ended up there. Also not really
Perfect.
familiar with, things like cars and television sets and any of the stuff that most people use on a daily basis around here.
That's true. You've had to get used to electricity anyway. But one thing that you've run into this morning while you're trying to get dressed, trying to get ready for work, and you're heading out the door for the agency is you keep tripping over wires on your way through the apartment. Sometimes it's it's wires that seem to have extended further from a computer than they did before. Sometimes it's almost like on your way out the door, you trip over a cord and it's you stumble and it's like you can't really tell where it's going to or from. And you definitely don't know why your roommate had that there.
Well, I know better than to touch anything, so I'm just going to try and carefully step over as many of them as I can.
Cool. Yeah, you get through that weird thing, and how do you get to work exactly? Do you grab a bus? Do you trust buses? I assume you don't have a driver's license yet, being from a pre-industrial society.
Well, the bus isn't too bad. It was a little weird at first, but I've been on boats before, so.
That's true. And what is a bus if not a land boat? All right. Let's next take a look at Roger. Roger, you're I understand you have some issues with money and keeping it.
You could say that.
Yeah, as it turns out, the reason for you being low on money has sent you a text message this morning as you're getting ready and asks you to stop by his place on your way to work because you are behind on a payment right now.
Oh, lovely. Well, my way to work is really an interesting thing because I wake up in the morning, I stretch out, I kind of, fix my hair as best I can, and then I stumble out of the broom closet downstairs.
It should be noted the Triangle Agency does not frown on this because an agent who does not leave the office is an agent that the agency knows the location of at all time. You can't cause trouble. This is company approved.
I will have to figure out how I'm going to go deal with that. But business first. And also, maybe there's donuts in the break room because, God, I'm hungry.
Yeah, I think you receive a series of more urgent text messages during the day. And this is kind of weird because usually Vidasto hates texting. He usually calls you. So this is kind of odd in and of itself.
Oh, that is really bad. Uh-oh.
Yep. But you can just let that slide to the side if you want. Just, pray it doesn't catch up with you.
We'll deal with that a little bit later. Yeah.
That works. Speaking of things catching up with them, Nick, tell us a little bit about Case.
Well, Case is probably already in the office by now. Time is a funny thing, especially when its rules don't apply to you. Case is a timepiece anomaly. And after an unfortunate encounter with Punxsutawney Phil in the past, the abilities of Case are highly sought after by specifically his bosses for always shoveling in extra work for things that have already happened so that we can make them happen again more efficiently. It's always so fun when I open up my email inbox and emails dated 2 days, 3 days, 4 days from now appear, letting me know about things that I already have deadlines that have passed for, reminding me to get on the ball again.
It's you have to admit that doing the job of two people is doing the job of one person, but you've got the time for it. However, this morning finds you in kind of maybe a little bit of a grumpy mood. Last night you were attempting to watch TV, your favorite show, which I'm curious what Case's favorite TV show is.
Unironically, Case's favorite TV show right now is True Detective, Season 1. It's always fun when you get to go rewatch these things for the first time and for the 1,000th time at the same time.
Well, time is a flat circle. However, you had a problem, and at first you thought maybe something weird electronically was going on, and then you thought maybe your streaming service was acting up. Your TV kept muting itself, and you try to unmute it, and it wasn't responding. You're like, the battery's dead, and then your stream would switch to displaying the opening screen from a fairly obscure arcade game called Pin Drop. Now, Pin Drop was in arcades when you were a kid. It's kind of if you think like alternating stages. One stage you're playing Pac-Man, collecting power-ups, and the second one, sort of a dance battle face-off. And you haven't thought about Pin Drop in years, but you almost wonder if this is like a weird advertisement in this stream. You're not sure why it's muting it before it shows you the opening screen, though. And then it goes away after a while, so you just kind of write it off as an advertisement. Weird things that happen at home. All right. So, sorry, go.
No, I was just going to say, I often wonder if my TV went back to a point in its production period before it was installed with sound. But...
You've acquired one of those rare silent TVs. Okay, so let's see. We haven't talked to Tad today. Tad, you've got an interesting little friend that you care for. Would you like to talk about your little pal, your dependent?
So even though I've come to work at the agency, I still maintain a casual part-time as the assistant junior zookeeper at the Ternion City Zoo, and part of my duties are taking care of some of the sick and injured animals. So this week I am taking care of Grumbles, a rock hyrax. Sort of picture a cross between a groundhog and an elephant. It's more closely related to an elephant, but it looks like a little woodchuck, furry guy, tusks, big toes. And he's been kind of munching on some of the paperwork on my desk while I try to take calls at the helpline at the agency, of which that's my job, trying to take calls from customers and people and trying to solve their problems.
Sure. So while you were at the zoo this morning picking up some of the no doubt specialized food that a rock hyrax requires, before he came to work and started shredding papers, maybe Louisa dropped some off on your desk. You have I believe you're acquainted with a rival zookeeper, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. Keith,
right. Keith was not really being helpful this morning. Keith was kind of basically being a lazy jerk while you were there, and mostly complaining about his social life, which you didn't care about. Talking about how he had he wasn't even supposed to be here today. He had taken the day off he had planned to go to an event at a dancing event at Two Jack's Tavern, rated third friendliest tavern in the city. But the event was canceled again, and he's really complaining about this as if he expects you to give a crap about him.
Keith has always been so utterly normal that it sort of just washes over me and I barely register it.
Keith is normal to the max. All right. And last but not least, Terrence. Terrence is one of our baristas at the agency, a very valuable and maybe underpaid and undervalued job at the agency.
It is very true. And Terrence doesn't seem to really care about the underpaid or undervalued portion because really he gets to do what he loves the most, which is watch people. People are fascinating creatures. I love watching what they do and, making sure that like their little lives. It's absolutely fantastic. And every morning, Terrence, who never seems to leave the agency, you're not quite sure. Like everybody seems to know him, but nobody quite knows where he goes or what he does. But he always seems to be at the agency behind the counter of the coffee bar with his copper 1970s La Oranje double boiler espresso machine, always clean and proper, always prim. His double-breasted vest, his white sleeves rolled up, his polka dot bow tie always neatly done, his hair perfectly coiffed back, his pinstripes always neatly pleated, and he starts every morning by walking up to this machine, almost like saying a prayer to it, making himself a wonderful dirty chai latte with soy milk, specifically soy milk, has to be soy milk. Mammal milk is no good. And then just going and finding a nice corner of the agency to sit down and make sure that nobody notices him as he just watches everybody go about their day, and everybody goes about their morning sipping his wonderful concoction until it is time for him to clock in. And then greet all of his, and he calls them friends. Everybody's his friends, right? Like we're all friendly here. That's right. Like that's what we're supposed to be. And wants to make sure that he gives them little tiny cups of happiness, because that is the most important thing. Because if you are happy, the anomalies can't eat.
Perfect. Yes. So you've noticed this morning as you're going through your daily routine, your daily ritual, it centers you, that you're not sure if someone has been losing things or if someone is playing a very elaborate and weirdly pointless prank on you. But you go up to your extremely fancy double boiler and you look inside it, where you would normally put the water in for the boiling. And before you put the water in, you see something inside, and you pull it out. And it's a playing card. Specifically, it is a Queen of Clubs. And the weirdest part is that this is some kind of weird, maybe it's like a horror theme set you've never seen before, but the Queen appears to be screaming.
Huh. That is not supposed to be in here. I just literally take it out. I don't really pay much mind to it, and I just kind of put it on the counter and then go back to filling the coffee, because that is the most important thing. That is what he is absolutely focused on.
Yep, and maybe, like I said, maybe somebody lost it. Maybe somebody will pick it up if you leave it there on the counter. You never know. You make the rest of your latte without any weirdness. You go to sit down at your little corner table. There's, of course, a little cardboard centerpiece set up, telling the newest things for sale in the coffee bar. And you realize that there's something sticking out of the side of it, like someone had just tucked a piece of paper into it. And you check that, and once again, it's another playing card. This time, the Jack of Hearts. Once again, appears to be screaming. It's very, very weird theme. Maybe a little unsettling. Maybe not for you, just knowing who you are and what you do.
I'd like to try to do something here and see, since my anomaly is basically altering reality. I want to see if I run my hand over the card, if I can adjust it from screaming to smiling.
Okay, is this I was gonna say, is this an anomalous ability you have?
No, it's the presence. Nightmare lets me alter the visibility of myself and things around me. So,
okay, sure. You sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, you can try it. I think it works a little bit. The face, you can actually almost watch as the face kind of alters to kind of close its mouth, but its eyes are still looking unsettlingly at you, and you are getting just the faintest hint of anomalous resonance. Which is weird. You can, because sometimes when agents, because of your special resonance with anomalies, you can when you encounter these things in the field, you can kind of track them, but you look around and you think, maybe someone's using their anomaly to play tricks on me. But unfortunately, you can't like find a trail or anything. It's almost just like this starts and ends here, as though it's kind of a spot that just kind of appeared out of nowhere. It's weird. And you seem to be, you can eventually get the face to be less creepy and unsettling, since you're more, since you're stronger than whatever this little tidbit of a ripple was. But with that out of the way, you can maybe look. You can maybe continue your ritual to look around, to people watch.
Yeah, I will people watch, and I'll also look to see if other people are noticing the cards in particular, and see what their reactions are to it, and just kind of fade back into the background a little.
Yeah, you don't not a lot more of them appear, and they mostly seem to appear around you, which is kind of odd. You do find one more before your shift ends. You're working maybe behind the counter once your shift is officially started, and you open the cash register because someone is paying in cash instead of commendations, which is kind of odd for today. But maybe they're an off-site visitor, maybe they're a new hire. You pop open the register to make some change, and there is a King of Spades inside. This one is also screaming, just like the others.
Is there
before you really?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, is there a company protocol for this that I should be like reporting this to somebody?
If it's since it's happening within company bounds, and the company through the agency OS devices you've been issued is observing and noting everything you do. It is known to the company, so if it alarms someone enough to require an investigation, they will send you. Which, appropriately enough, everyone's phones kind of beep, or your email inbox tells you that you have a new message, and everyone receives a message from your general manager, Gail Tilda, who is inviting you all to the conference room up on the 4th floor for a briefing about a field assignment today.
Okay. Well, I make my way there immediately.
Well, this should be interesting. I make sure my papers are all put back where they belong, and then hurry upstairs.
Case makes sure to go without a pen in case Gail tries to get him to sign his PIP again.
Okay. Once everyone kind of filters in, Gail, who is a middle-aged African American lady in very prim, like a very prim suit jacket. The face I'm going for is the chief from the game show of Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego.
Yes.
Gail welcomes you all in, and she's kind of passed some paperwork out, and she has a PowerPoint presentation pulled up on the projector in the conference room, and welcomes you all in by name. Hey, Stoddy, good to see everybody. Hope you guys are excited. You've got some field work today.
Without even saying anything, I just kind of, Terrence just very quietly, very try not to be noticed, just puts Gail's favorite coffee next to her seat and just kind of goes back to his seat.
He notices you, and she favors you with a nod. Thank you. You're always so thoughtful, Terrence.
Well, one must keep everyone's morale up, and then everybody looks over and sees that they all have their favorite coffees at their seats. Whether or not they notice that is a whole other thing.
Roger's coffee is less coffee and more just absolute sludge. It is like 3 creamers and 18 sugars.
So you're having a little coffee with your add-ins,
more or less.
I was gonna say, and I believe Liz noted on her intake form that Louisa prefers fruit smoothies with a special ingredient.
Yes. So this is perfect as always, Terrence. Thank you so much.
Well, what are friends for?
Terrence, this coffee is
Louisa,
so good. Oh, go ahead.
Louisa gives this perfect closed mouth smile.
Terrence thinks this is perfectly normal, as he always has, and just doesn't even react.
Alrighty. Anybody else got any comments about their favorite drink?
Oh, Case just says Terrence's coffee is so good. Thank you. He downs it all in one go, and in the blink of an eye, the cup is filled again.
Dottie's not really a coffee person yet. She hasn't discovered her favorite type, but she does like a good hot chocolate.
So I think that's what Terrence makes for Dottie then, is like a very chocolate forward mocha latte. But is also substitute chocolate milk for the regular milk because you like hot chocolate. So it is and just like the little hint of cinnamon and nutmeg through it as well. And just make sure that it he's trying to, be on your good side.
We're going to have to pause the game. I need one of those right now.
Fun fact for those at home, I was a barista in real life for a while. So the drinks are going to get interesting.
You picked this.
That is absolutely the reason I picked this.
Yeah, Terrence is now the team hero. But once everybody has their drinks and you're settled in, you're kind of seven. You're kind of flipping through the packets that Gail has laid out for you, and she explains. She pulls up a map on the screen. It's a neighborhood I don't know if any of you are familiar with. It is a neighborhood on the outskirts of Ternion City called Caddy Corner. It's not the official name. But it was so named because there was a project at one time for the that was going to connect the highway on that side of the city to other locations called the Road to Tomorrow. And unfortunately, funding fell through because of how much they were going to have to spend to get this done. The highway project lasted just long enough to tear down the homes of half the neighborhood, drive the rest up, and leave behind a disconnected underpass to nowhere. But the neighborhood across the corner, Caddy Corner, after eager buyers cleared out for more lucrative, more hot parts of the city, the community has filled in the gaps here. And the news is that 2 weeks ago, a death was reported in the neighborhood of Caddy Corner. Tony Jackson, one of the two owners of a local bar called Two Jacks, was found with his face frozen in an expression of pain, mouth open as if screaming. But the cause of death appeared to be a sudden cardiac arrest. Last week, another death was reported. A young man named Manny Navarro was found in the same state at a local business called the Laundrocade. This coincidence got the agency's attention, which led to the most recent discovery. Unbeknownst to the residents of Caddy Corner, another body was found outside of the neighborhood last night. A woman in her late 20s, again with the same expression, dead next to a bag of metalworking tools. The body has been dead for about a month and was found during a survey of nearby land for further development. The police have not yet begun an investigation into her identity, which will make it difficult to determine. Something is killing people in the neighborhood, and the agency would rather find out what it is and, of course, have you contain and retrieve it before rumors bring attention to the anomaly's activity.
When the picture of the face that's in that horror-esque, locked in horror, Terrence takes out one of the cards that I am absolutely confident is on his person and compares it.
Yeah, Gail sees you pull it out, I guess, and kind of nods, and it's definitely the same kind of facial expression. It's a face that is like I said, screaming in pain, frozen. It definitely seems like maybe this is related in some weird, resonant way.
Huh. Well then, that's not good.
It's not, Gail says. Naturally, of course, we obviously don't want people dying, but also, as we said, this we're surmising that this is probably anomalous activity, and we need to contain this before it creates loose ends, or more corpses, or both. And Gail clicks to the next slide and says, of course, your objective, as always, is to, and she slides two things across the table. She says, your objective is to either contain or destroy this anomaly, whatever form it may take. She pats the first item, which is a normal-looking briefcase. She says, of course, this is the standard agency-issue normal briefcase. It can contain any anomaly of any size or shape as long as you can convince it to enter the briefcase or tire it out to the point that it can't fight you. And this, and here the other thing she slid across to you, looks like nothing so much as a 1950s science fiction ray gun. She says, this is the ripple gun. As a last resort, if you cannot contain the anomaly, this will destroy it. But you only get one shot, so aim carefully, and I don't think I need to say this, you're all good employees in good standing. Please don't hit anything else with it. And on the slide also are listed a number of optional objectives. As you know, the agency primarily, in addition to, some of you are getting paid Earth money, also rewards commendations to agents who perform well in the field and demerits for those who don't, to see who is best ingraining the lessons of proper agency behavior and culture into their work. As you all know, you have some that go along with your job. You're all aware of what those are. And there are also a set of 3 optional objectives. No one knows why the company sets these optional objectives. It's just, reality is weird and the agency is unfathomable. Sometimes your optional objectives for today are plus 10 commendations for the first agent to get the highest possible score on pin drop. Plus 1 commendation for each agent who collects a Jack playing card. And she points at you, Terrence, and says, no, the one you found this morning doesn't count.
Oh.
And last but not least, plus 1 demerit for each noise complaint caused by an agent. Says, any questions?
No, seems pretty straightforward as usual.
Okay. Well, everyone, you have your assignments, you have your equipment. Let's get out there in the field and make the agency proud, agents. And with that, Gail returns to her corner office.
Right. Well, then, shall we go to the bar and see where the dead body was? And Terrence is just absolutely it's a giant grin ear to ear. like this is completely unfazing him.
Roger just it looks like he might just fall asleep at the other end of the table, but he like drags himself out of his seat and is like, all right, let's just go do this.
Roger, do you need me to make sure that it is more caffeinated next time?
You know, I don't even think it's that today. It's personal stuff. You know how it is.
Oh, I understand completely. And you see Terrence very, very quietly puts away a IV bag full of caffeine.
Hey, Terrence, did you happen to bring a second coffee like you have lately sometimes? And Tad is trying to get the coffee out of the fabric of the seat that he's in because his Hyrax has knocked it over.
I mean, for you, of course. And you see Terrence just kind of like reaches in and pulls it. For you, my friend, always. I am prepared.
Thanks, Terrence.
You're quite welcome. Shall we then? I mean, that dead body scene of crime event, I don't know what we call it anymore, but it's not going to wait forever.
Well, it might, in my case. But yes, I agree.
Can somebody give me a ride?
Well, I thought we would all go together. It's a lovely day for a walk.
Sounds like maybe you don't want to let Roger drive, though. Okay, so everybody piles into someone's vehicle. I don't know who's in charge of transporting everyone. Probably has to be one of the few of you who actually leaves the agency.
I've got a minivan from the zoo for the week, so
Perfect.
Perfect.
pile into the Dodge.
Easy.
You guys pile into a Ternion City Zoo branded minivan and head out to Caddy Corner, which, as stated, it's kind of out on the outskirts of Ternion City. It's not a real growing neighborhood thanks to the highway project, but it's close knit, is the reputation it has. And I'm assuming is there anything anyone wants to stop for on the way? Otherwise, it sounds like you were heading to Two Jack's Tavern.
I'm good. I think I have everything I need.
There's the thing that I should stop for that I am very clearly ignoring.
Just on the way down before we got in the car, I just made sure to grab a rubber duck off my desk.
Yes. Everyone also has, as noted in your competencies, everyone has their whatever their initial requisition was, along with, as stated, the normal briefcase and the ripple gun. Whoever wants to keep charge of those can keep charge of them. But remember, the ripple gun only has one shot, and the agency would prefer that you capture the anomaly instead. Obliterating thoughts, which is really what anomalies are when you get down to it, is embodied thoughts and obsessions. Eliminating those can be problematic sometimes. But you guys pull into Caddy Corner, and you find it's a small neighborhood. Most of the businesses are centered around a kind of a central square. It's very easy to find Two Jack's Tavern. It is a squat brick building with a sign over the door stating the name and a hand-painted banner taped to it in duct tape that reads, "Third friendliest bar in the city." This, of course, being an award that they won from the Ternion City Times just a few months ago.
Well, we're definitely in the right place if it's the third friendly.
You know, one of my coworkers at the zoo said something about this bar this morning, but I can't remember what it was because it's just so boring. I'll try to think of it.
It might jog your memory when you see out front there's a chalkboard sign with the events of the week on one side. Normally the normal lineup looks like Open Mark Monday, Wepa Wednesday featuring the Bachata Basement Band, and Friday Night Grooves with DJ Teddy G. However, every event on there has been crossed out and scrawled over with the word canceled. And it's one of those chalkboard things that kind of sits on the sidewalk, and on the opposite side of it, you walk past, it says, "In memory of Tony Jackson, the original Jack of Hearts."
So at this point, is the bar closed or open, or is it like shut down while they're pending the investigation?
It is it is open. Tony's death was, let's see, when did I say it was? Tony's death was 2 weeks ago. So, the body's been hauled away. It's been taken in for an autopsy. That's why they ruled it a cardiac arrest. The bar is open. And yeah, you can see there are people inside, because obviously people have to work at a bar during the day to get it ready for that evening. But it's open. You guys can go inside. You don't have to break into the bar or anything.
I'll let somebody else take lead. Don't everybody talk at once.
I will walk into the bar.
Sure. Okay, so you open the bar. It's an old wooden door, a little window at the top that looks like it was once painted like a playing card. There's an ad taped to it some of these words maybe don't mean anything to you. A bunch of clip art graphics on it. It says sweaty, stinky, covered in beer. Do your laundry at the Laundrocade and get $5 worth of arcade tokens each month. There's also an old flyer for a block party out at a place called The Station. You can file those away as you walk in, as you open the door and walk in. It is kind of an old school dive bar. Low lights, shadowy corners, a floor that's sticky all the time for no obvious reason, and wooden furniture with the varnish peeling off of it. It's bigger than it looked on the outside because it actually fills the building next to it. There's a bar on one side of the room and a fairly large dance floor for a place this size, along with a DJ booth that also serves as a stage when you need to. And, a bathroom, a door that says office, and a few customers inside doing day drinking, and one bartender behind the bar. What would you all like to do? Everyone looks up when you walk in because 6 people filing into this bar in the middle of the day is definitely more activity than this bar usually gets in the mornings.
I look at them with
Louisa.
equal bewilderment because why are so many people day drinking this early?
Louisa pulls off her sunglasses because she's been covered up, and she's oh wow, it has been so long since I've been somewhere like this. This is great.
Is it supposed to smell like that?
Yes, that's part of the charm.
I'm gonna just speak candidly to everybody. I would like to just remind everyone we're here investigating a death. Please don't be too cheery. It might alert the locals.
How loudly are you saying this?
That one's more of just like a not a panicked whisper, but like a hey, dead guy, too cheery, don't make it hot. Just be easy.
Okay.
One
right.
thing. Oh, go ahead, Phil.
No, I was gonna say, go ahead. Go right ahead.
I was to say when Roger enters, one thing to notice if you're paying any attention is he makes a really wide berth around everybody. Like even his coworkers, when he walks past them, it's almost like when people have the germ avoidance, like Howie Mandel has, kind of like that. Make sure that he takes a good wide berth around everybody as he steps up kind of towards the bar, and just pauses as he gets close.
Okay. Yeah, when you get close to the bar, the guy behind the bar looks up at you, and he's kind of like, "Can I get you or your friends something?" You're close enough now to the bar to see. So he was standing at half of the bar that's farthest from the door, and you notice as you get closer that the part of the back of the bar closest to the door is cordoned off, and he doesn't go over to that side while he's cleaning. If he needs something that's on that side of the bar, he kind of reaches over and brings it back. He's only working on this half of the bar that's not cordoned off.
Does it seem conscious, or does it seem like a subconscious reaction?
Yeah, it's very conscious.
Okay.
He doesn't look like he even necessarily likes looking at that side of the bar.
Is there something going on with this side of the bar?
That's his partner's side of the bar.
Yeah, he kind of gestures. He said,
Two
"Well,
jacks,
that's
right."
Yes, he kind of gestures to it. He says, "That's where he says you folks don't look like you're from here. We had a bit of a mishap a few weeks ago. The one of the owners was back here on this side of the bar and apparently had a heart attack right behind the bar. And the cops kind of cordoned this side off while they were investigating, and then even after they took the body away, Jackie's kind of kept it. She's kind of kept it blocked off, and they won't even let me clean on that side." And he kind of,
Oh, that's just terrible.
yeah, he says, I'm keeping a dive bar with half a bar. Ugh. But anyway, what can I get you folks?
I would like a coffee martini, please.
Coffee martini. All right. He's clearly not used to anybody ordering anything that comes in a martini glass at a dive bar, but he kind of, he kind of looks around. He's like, "Okay, I know we have martini glasses here somewhere," and he finds one, and he's having issues finding the glassware. He does find it, but he makes the drink expertly. This guy has clearly knows his way around a bar, and he makes you a fantastic coffee martini.
I tip my non-existent hat to the skill. Game recognized game. So it seems like such a tragedy that have befalled here. I'm sorry to hear that. Was there any indication that there was any health problems? Like normally there's like a build-up or a lead-up.
kind of leans in. He says, "No, it's weird, man. Like, you know, some people want to say, oh, he worked behind a bar. He probably drank himself to death. Tony didn't even drink. Like, yeah, he worked late, but like Tony only drank root beer. He's, maybe the sugar got to him, but like he wasn't even that old, man. He kind of stops. You can see he's kind of getting emotional. He's like, I'm sorry. I don't need to dump this on you. You guys just came to you just came to visit. I'm sorry.
Not at all.
I reach out a hand. I'm like, no, it's okay. Human emotions are real and valid.
He kind of takes a deep breath and he says, okay, thank you. He doesn't think too hard about the wording of that. Joe, Terrence feels a sensation of like, almost like the sensation of like a nice hug or a warm afternoon, and you realize that the agency has awarded you a commendation for making someone feel welcome.
Excellent.
Yeah. A side note here is that when you receive commendations or demerits from the agency, you know it immediately. A commendation is, like I said, it's a positive feeling. It's like getting a warm hug or your favorite drink after a long day or anything like that. And a demerit, imagine the parent you like most being disappointed in you, or going to your favorite restaurant, discovering that your food is gone. That feeling is the feeling that you experience when you receive a demerit. So Joe has received a commendation. Congratulations.
Excellent. Playing to my strengths. I want to take a look around the bar real quick and see if there is any like artwork hanging up or like paintings or anything like facing where Tony was found.
Okay. So most of what's around there's nothing that stands out right away. There's they've got a newspaper thing tacked up and framed where they got their third friendliest bar in the city award. There's some like artwork that looks like playing cards or whatever playing on their name. But unlike the cards you were finding this morning, like they're faded, they're a little tattered because the art is kind of old. Because this bar is about 20 years old, or at least has been owned by the current owners for about 20 years. But you don't see any like screaming face cards like you were finding. No.
So I'm not looking
coffee bar this morning. Yeah.
I'm not looking for cards. I'm looking for hanging artwork. There's a specific reason.
Okay.
So one of my anomaly abilities is I can actually transport myself into artwork, or paintings or pictures or things like that. It's called sight visit. So I can actually go there as if it was a real place and actually speak to the inhabitants. So if there's a painting with like a person or a reproduction of like Sir Rot's The Picnic or whatever, in theory, if I can get everybody distracted, I can try to put myself into it and ask them what happened.
You know what? Yeah, there is one. It's that famous black velvet painting of dogs playing poker.
Yes, yes.
There is one, except it's only two dogs and they're playing blackjack. Yes, that painting is hanging up. You can try to use your site visit power. So this is our first use of a roll in this game. Rolls in Triangle Agency, fairly easy to figure out. They are always 6d4, and you have a stat that you are rolling with, a quality assurance, which in this case is attentiveness.
Yeah.
Now, do you have any? You don't have any QAs in attentiveness.
Correct.
So this does mean that you'll be rolling with one burnout, and I'll explain what that is after you roll. But go ahead and roll 64. And you're looking for as many threes as you can.
I have 4 threes.
Okay. So you have 4 threes. Since you don't have anything in attentiveness, one of those threes becomes not a 3. But this actually works out for you because what you have now rolled is 3 threes, which not a transcendence because it wasn't a natural 3 threes, which is what this game calls a crit. But it does mean that your roll works and generates no chaos. Chaos is think of it as a token that I get to use to do funny abilities with. You generate 1 from the burnout, but none from the roll itself. So you succeed. You get to do the on a success, and you get to do the on every third 3. I think twice because you get 1 for just. Oh no, once because you got a third because you got 3 threes. Yeah. So go ahead and read your ability and tell me what you're doing.
Well, so first, what I'm going to do is, would anybody like to join me? You've probably seen Terrence do this a couple times before, where he like very much focuses on like a painting, and you can see his eyes get a little red, like they glow a little red, and his shadow gets a little elongated. If anybody would like to join me, all they have to do is put their hand on my shoulder.
I would like,
Go
go Case. I would like to take this. I can kind of see that Terrence is doing something, so I'd like to start up a conversation with the bartender.
As we've
about,
done a million times before. I was hoping for this. Thank you.
So how long has this place been here? Do you have any specialty drinks? And just kind of go on with a constant stream of chatter. And I'll order a drink, just whatever it takes to keep him engaged in this conversation.
Yeah, this is actually perfect because, as the agency will remind you, use of anomalous powers so people can witness it creates loose ends, and loose ends are bad.
Mm-hmm.
But no one who, if all 6 of you had disappeared, we'd have a few loose ends. But if only one of you maybe wanders out of everyone's line of vision and disappears into a painting while the bartender, the person paying the most attention to you, is distracted, I think you're good. So we'll cover, we'll do, so you get your drink, whatever. The bar doesn't really have a specialty, but he makes you a very nice it's a sort of specialty gin and tonic. Instead of regular oranges, uses hints of blood orange in it. It's an interesting flavor. Meanwhile, Terrence.
So the way that
disappear into the painting.
Yeah, and the way that it looks, because I got the every third 3, is I am a dog playing poker. So I basically turn into a corgi dressed exactly the same as Terrence was, but like I'm in the painting now as a corgi playing poker with these.
Amazing.
Nice.
Yep. So anyone else looking at the painting now sees a third dog in the painting. Terrence is inside it with 2 other dogs playing card games, and they kind of look at you and go, "Whoa, where'd you come from?"
Oh, well, I'm just decided to pop in and hopefully you don't mind. Wanted to ask you a few questions, and I kind of point out because from our perspective, the bar is the painting, right?
Yes.
So,
there's a painting hanging on the wall of Two Jack's Tavern with a bunch of humans depicted in it, currently talking to a bartender.
I just wanted to know, did you notice anything strange with the painting a couple weeks ago? The bartender, did anything happen before he passed away?
They said they kind of looked at us. Oh yeah, the one who's not. Yeah, that's so weird that changed. That painting's been the same forever. Yeah, and they basically tell you that he was there late one night. He was working on he was working on trying to get something with the speaker system. They said they're not sure why he was running the bar speaker system that late. Like everyone was gone, and he kept fiddling with the bass on it. Like he was trying to. He was trying to get some sound right. He'd listen to it inside. He'd kind of nod. He'd go outside. He'd come back in. He'd kind of shake his head, and he's like, "No, it's still too loud out there, and they need to adjust a little more." And he's trying to base, And they said we're not sure what he was doing. But then at one point, he was behind the bar, and he was having a root beer to drink, and we saw something like we don't really know, something that almost just looked like a bunch of wires. Kind of almost appeared out of nowhere and wrapped itself around him, and it looked like he was screaming, but that's the last time we saw him.
Well, I thank you very much for your time, and I hope you enjoy your game. Thank you so very much.
Sure. You sure you don't want us to deal you in?
Oh, I couldn't possibly. And then you just see, like he pulls out a couple cards from his sleeves. It wouldn't be right. And he just kind of stands up, gives him a little bit bow, and then pops back out of the painting. Yeah.
Yep. So he
said yes. You could brought a jack out with you.
That wouldn't be natural, I don't think. Right? Like it's not. I don't know if that would count. Right, because otherwise I would.
Maybe
it just said you had to collect a jack while you're in the field.
Yeah, then I absolutely would. As I'm picking up the cards that I pulled out of my sleeve, I'd grab one of the jacks from the table.
Sure. There's one laying down right now that one of the dogs had, and you pick up the jack and you walk out, and they kind of go, "Hey!" and then that's the last thing you hear as you exit the painting. And when you guys, if anybody looks at the painting now, it's interesting because when you went in, it was just 2 dogs playing blackjack. Now, one of the dogs only has 1 card in front of him, and there's a couple scattered on the side of the table where no one is playing, and both dogs are looking directly at out of the painting as though they're looking at you and kind of barking. But it's like it's frozen in that way. I'm doing this because the other on every third three that Joe didn't pick was when you leave, this piece of art is returned to its original condition. It has changed when he went in. So what's anybody else doing?
Case is just watching the entire time, and the painting, and the only line that anyone can hear him say to himself is, "They're dogs, and they're playing blackjack," and he giggles to himself.
They are, in fact, dogs playing blackjack. Also, I realized I missed something. Liz, you created a distraction for Terrence, didn't you?
I did.
Receive a commendation.
It's almost like Liz's character and mine are built to play off each other.
A little bit. See, that's working as a team.
Yeah.
So, while Terrence was doing that, Liz, you were talking to the bartender who he'll tell you his name is Sharif, if anyone asks. Is there anything anybody else was doing, including Louisa or anybody else? Case is giggling at a painting. But anybody else while this is happening?
Tad was going to go straight back to the bathroom to see if there was any sort of backroom office, anything.
Okay. So there are both a bathroom and there's also an office, which is marked by a sign that clearly says office. You try to get to the bathroom and the door is locked. And if he hears you kind of rattle the door, Sharif will look over and go, "You need the key to get in there because we gotta keep it clean."
Sorry about that.
Okay. Are you going to get the key? Or are you just going to pretend you? Okay. So he'll hand you the key and he kind of leans and he says, "Look, keep your eyes open in there. I don't like bugs. Okay. I know it's weird. Guy like me working in a dive bar. Anyway, but I've seen something in the bathroom that looks like a weird spider. It gives me the heebie-jeebies, man. Nobody wants a spider when they're in the bathroom, but just keep your eyes peeled. Don't get bit. I haven't seen it like head on, but just be careful in there, okay?" And he hands you the key.
Believe me, I get that. I've heard a lot about that, but it shouldn't bother me.
Oh, you're a braver man than I. All right, so you can take the key, which is just an ordinary key with a little wooden tag hanging from it. It says Two Jacks Tavern, and you let yourself into the bathroom. It is just kind of a single one-stall bathroom. It's got some old school graffiti on the wall, like what you would expect to see written on the wall in a dive bar bathroom. So the contents, obviously graffiti, toilet, sink, and in the corner what looks like a coiled set of wires.
All right. I guess I'll take a little bit of a closer look at the coiled set of wires. It just seems out of place for a bathroom that can't be too dry.
Yep. So you approach this. It is kind of humid in here. You know how bathrooms with old toilets are. As you approach it, this thing almost coils up then and forms almost like a long-limbed spider. Like imagine a daddy long legs built out of stereo wires, and it kind of raises two of its little arms towards you and kind of snaps them towards you, and it's you can see sparks coming off of it. This thing is trying to electrocute you. What do you do?
If it hasn't pinned me down, I'm going to kind of make a quick back out of the bathroom like I didn't ever enter in the first place.
Okay. You find, so you back out of the bathroom as fast as you can, and you hear something like gently thumping on the door of the bathroom. And like Sharif looks over at you, and he sees you back out in a hurry, and he kind of gives you this look like, "See, I told you."
That's fascinating. I'd be interested to know what species that is. I'm going to take a second and look it up here on this app that tells me what kind of insects or arachnids live in this area.
Okay. Ability, are you just consulting an app on your phone?
I'm pretending to, yeah.
Sure. You pull up your phone and it's you find you've got one of those little apps where you can take a picture of an animal and it kind of identifies it for you. And you don't find anything. It turns out that spiders made of stereo wires are not a native species to this area. But then you don't have too much time to think about it because you kind of hear a little crackling and you realize that it is trying to wiggle out from under the door. It's basically deforming its body to scoot out the crack under the door. What do you want to do?
I'm going to try to alert the rest of the team by kind of giving a loud over here, so that I can get some help here. But I suppose I'll try to open the door and kick it back in.
Okay. Okay. So, rest of the team, you hear Tad kind of make a weird strangled noise as he comes out of the bathroom in a hurry, and then he opens the door again and kicks something back into it. What is everyone doing?
Oh,
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
How many other people are in this room? I know you said the bartender and a couple of people, but
Yeah, let me see. There are 3 other people here. How appropriate.
okay.
Just kind of sitting at the table. Tad's quick exit has drawn the attention of none of them, as it turns out. Like I said, Sharif saw him come out. He is convinced that Tad saw the weird spider he warned him about. But none of the patrons are all kind of facing away.
Okay.
There's one who's kind of in the corner playing a video poker machine. The other 2 are pretty focused on their drinks, or they're looking at their phones. They're not paying any attention to Tad right now.
Did any of us kind of see the spider, or just watched him kick something?
I would say just because of how low it is to the ground and because of the tables in your way, you probably saw him kick something, but you didn't see what he was kicking at. But he did seem kind of alarmed and was trying to signal all of you.
Case is just going to go over to Tad and I'll ask him, what is going on back here?
Yeah, we got something going on in the bathroom, which is definitely related to whatever we're here for. Seems to be some kind of electrical wire creature.
Yeah, you can hear it kind of like it's you kicked it back in and you shut the door, but you can once again see its little 3.5 millimeter jack legs are kind of trying to sneak out under the door again. It's trying to it would have electrocuted your shoe if your shoe was able to conduct electricity.
Oh, this is
kind of it's kind of sparking at your shoes.
Is there anything else like in this area to help keep the door shut for now, or are we just holding it back? Or holding the door?
It's not opening the door. Like the door is shut. You guys can lock it.
It's just trying to get under.
It's there's a gap under the door, and it's made of wires. It's trying to sneak out underneath it.
I think I'm going to wander.
Briefcase.
Well, I'm going to wander
I'm gonna
over.
keep the gap.
And
Okay.
as this thing is trying to wiggle its way out, I'm going to lean down and take a packet of sugar out of my pocket and blow it on it and try to do nap time.
Yes. Nap time says blow a pinch of sand. Sugar counts just fine. And roll subtlety. You kind of hear Sharif leaning back and he goes, one at a time in the bathroom, guys. And then you lean down and you blow sand at this thing. Joe, roll 64 for me.
Okay, now this I have, 3 in subtlety, so I forget, does that do anything?
What it is you don't roll with burnout because you still have subtlety and you still have subtlety quality assurances. And on this roll, if you want to turn non-3s into 3s, you can spend your subtleties one for one to turn a non-3 into a 3.
Then I am going to spend 1 to turn 1 non-3 into a 3 to give me 3/3.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Before he does that, is there a clock in the bar?
Yeah, there's almost definitely a clock in the bar.
Okay. Case sees that Terrace is trying to do nap time and immediately runs over to the clock and punches it to activate overclock. And
okay.
So it's all these people. You just see one guy walk over to the bathroom and then immediately run out and just jump and punch the only half-working clock. And what it does is when you or an ally rolls an anomaly ability other than this one, after seeing the result, punch a clock and roll initiative. On a success, you'll send the target back in time to assist themselves, allowing them to use the same ability a second time with an identical number of 3s. This second use can affect new targets and does not generate chaos or transcendence effects. So
what would that?
Can keep it.
So what would that do
Okay,
then in this case? How would that work then?
So what'll happen? Give yourself a QA back. You rolled 2. What'll happen is if Nick succeeds at this, you will have rolled 4 instead. And then the second ones don't generate any chaos. So you would still generate the normal number of chaos, but you wouldn't have to spend any QAs.
And then I would get the additional 3 stuff, right? So I would get the 3s, and then I would get the success, and then the additional 3 effects too. Then at that point, right?
Yes, you would.
Sweet.
And depending on how well Nick succeeds, you may get extra 3s. I will add this will definitely create loose ends because Nick just sprints across the room, jumps up, and punches the clock. It's just the clock hanging on the wall, so they can point at it and go, "It's 2:30. Get out." So I will note that this will make a few loose ends. But Nick, go ahead and roll.
It's 4 3s.
4 3s.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. That gives me 2 chaos. That is a success for you, and also you hit the one additional 3s. So Joe, what happens is the second copy of you almost see like a ghostly version of you appear and blow a second pack of sugar at the thing, and you now have rolled a total of 5 3s.
Oh,
Which so that only yields 1 chaos total because it's 5 on a roll of 6, and you get unfortunately you get nap time and you get an additional 3 effect.
yeah. So this thing is going to go to sleep, and it's going to go to sleep for an additional hour.
Okay.
Unless I
Yeah,
see
anybody-
more than one of it, then there'll be an additional target.
Yep, you just see the one, and it's little. Like I said, it had been kind of sticking its little wires under the door and trying to spark, and then just kind of goes, and you just see them fall flat on the floor, and it just looks for all the world like a bundle of stereo wires that's kind of sticking out from under the door. Nick's action, on the other hand, Case's little run and punch has caught some attention. You run across the bar, everyone kind of looks up, and you jump up and punch the clock. He's like, "Man, that's our only working clock."
It was an hour slow. You didn't set it ahead. These people need to know the right time so that they can schedule their drinking accordingly. What place are you running here?
Yeah, but you punched my clock.
I'm fixing it. Look, it's fine. Everything's fine.
So I will note here that it is definitely not fine, but one thing that you have the ability to do as an agent is ask the agency to change reality for you. This sounds like you want to change reality so that the clock is in fact fixed.
Yeah.
Okay, well, take up your 64, and then you're going to roll with, let me see which Q. You're definitely lying. You're rolling 64 with duplicity.
So that means that if I don't have anything in there, then I don't get any.
It means you will have 1 burnout.
Okay.
But in this case, I was gonna say, you have, because you're pursued, you have a thing called a burnout release called "Wasn't Me." When you're doing something that will cover your tracks, ignore all burnout. This is definitely you attempting to cover your tracks for doing whatever you just did. So I'm going to say in this case that applies, and you can ignore the burnout. So just roll 64, and we'll see what happens.
Oh yeah. That is. Damn. Wait. Quick clarifying question. We're only counting 3s like as they are, nothing above 3s, right? It's like 4s are useless.
4s are also, yeah, you're strict. So for successes, you're strictly counting your 3s.
Okay. 1 3.
Okay. It's enough to be a success, but it generates a whole bunch of chaos. And so you punch this clock, and you guys are yelling, and you tell him that, hey, I was just fixing your clock, so it'll be the right time. And you show him the clock, and sure enough, it is not damaged. It is in fact, you did some percussive maintenance on it, and it is in fact an hour ahead, which is in fact the right time.
Blizzard Watch is made possible due to the generous contributions at patreon.com/blizzardwatch. Your continued support means that this podcast signing community is able to thrive and grow. Blizzard Watch supporters enjoy exclusive benefits like early access to our podcast, a better chance at having your question answered on our podcast for the queue, and an ads-free site experience. Be sure to join us next time.